Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes, what a great afternoon. I'll tell you, we couldn't have ordered better weather if we'd tried. You can take a seat anywhere or here. It's really, you can sit anywhere you want to. Thank you. My, what a wonderful day, and what a great event for our college and for our community. I don't know how many of you know this, but where we're standing right now used to be a horse pasture for Harold Schaefer. And in fact, one day Ed Schaefer and I walked out of Schaefer Hall up here, and he was trying to remember where the horse barn was at. And this last weekend we had dinner with Shyla and Harold's daughter Diane, and she was telling me that they used to call this Strawberry Hill for some reason, and they would come up here and ride their horses. And Harold Schaefer was a great visionary, there's no doubt about that. And anybody that's been out to Medora and seen all of the things that are going on out there knows that he was a great visionary to turn that ghost town into what he did. And yet I don't know if Harold Schaefer himself could have envisioned what this campus has turned into as we have developed and grown into the third largest institution in the North Dakota University system. Well, we're going to kick off festivities here. We're kind of winging it here. This is an unusual setting that we've got, but we thought this was a beautiful place, and if the weather gods agreed with us, it was going to be fantastic. So we're here. It is our honor today that Governor Jack Dalrymple could find time in his busy schedule to be with us, and what a wonderful surprise, he brought Betsy with him, and we appreciate that very much. It seems like only yesterday when the governor and I stood out here on this this very spot and broke ground for the beautiful Communications and Creative Arts Center. And today I'm delighted to be back here with him to dedicate these new buildings on our campus. Governor Dalrymple has provided leadership to our state at a time of historic and unprecedented economic and demographic growth. Never before has our state been so economically robust, nor have there been so many North Dakotans. This growth has presented extreme challenges for our state. Under Governor Dalrymple's leadership, the state has addressed infrastructure improvements to everything from our roads to our water and much, much more, all while reducing taxes for our citizens. On a personal note, when I stepped into the Chancellor's office, Governor Dalrymple made himself and his staff available to me for countless hours of counsel and advice. I'm indebted to him for his willingness to give of his time as we work through incredibly difficult issues. As we all know, the governor is hanging up his spurs after his current term ends. As Clay Jenkinson pointed out recently, not all politicians can turn away from an assured win at the voting booth. That he and Betsy have decided to retire speaks volumes about the character of a man who has served our state for over 30 years and to whom we owe so much. Please welcome the governor of our great state, Jack Dalrymple.
Thank you. That was very nice, Larry. I appreciate that. Larry, thank you very much, and please feel free to come along with me and introduce me anytime. That was beyond. Thank you very much. What a spectacular spot this has turned out to be. I knew it was going to be nice when we were here a year ago and we broke ground, but this has really turned out incredibly well. And to have this green space in here and see everything all connected together, I tell you, Larry, it looks like a college, And I remember the old days when, we didn't come up here because there wasn't any reason to. And I remember working with Dave Clark when I was chairman of the Appropriations Committee, and he would spend all winter long begging us for an extra $50,000 so he could just, pay for the heating bill. And at the end, he would be turned down. And those were the dark days. But no longer. It's a beautiful place and an incredibly vibrant institution and a lot of great education, going on here every day. And it has, as you know, become like a very key part of this Bismarck community. Congratulations to all of you who have been here and have worked on this and have been part of the history of BSC. It's a great place. And I think going forward, Larry, anything's possible. I think this place could continue to amaze us. Thanks to Larry Scogan for the leadership he provided before he became chancellor. Thank you for being the interim chancellor. You know, who would want that job, really, when you think about it? Nothing to be gained, everything to lose. And he survived very well. His reputation still intact, and came back to be president here again. And not that you've done a bad job, Dave, but it's really a continuation of a project I think begun many years ago. It's great to see many of you education leaders here. I see a former chancellor over there, Bill Getz. Bill, good to see you again. Bill and I have spent a few days together over the years, and we appreciate that leadership so much. And to our new chancellor of the higher education system, Mark Hagerott, welcome to North Dakota. I think you're off to a great start. I understand that you've been around the state talking to just about everybody who will listen to you, and that's the way to do it in North Dakota. Get to know everybody right away, and we're very, very glad to have you here. Thanks to your foundation board. I know it takes that extra little piece of money to really make everything nice, and you have done that well. Paul Bauckham, the chairman, but it's a group effort. That extra 5% or 10% that you raise is what really turns it from a nice building into a superb building, and you have done that well. So my time is up. Thank you for including us, and congratulations to everybody.
Thank you, Governor. It's now my privilege to introduce another man who has decided to hang up his spurs. Excuse me. Gordy Bennick is our Vice President for College Advancement and the Executive Director of the BSC Foundation, and he's going to play traffic cop here as we get through a number of speakers. So please welcome Gordy Bennick.
Paul Bauckham, excuse me, when the BSC Bismarck State College asked the foundation to consider constructing student housing, Paul Bauckham was chair of the finance committee. Then he became vice president. Now he's president, and he's been involved in this housing project since day one. It just kind of followed him around. So it's my pleasure to introduce Paul Bauckham, the president of the BSC Foundation Board of Trustees.
Good afternoon and welcome to Bismarck State College. What a beautiful day has been stated, and what a beautiful facilities we have here. A great day to add to the legacy of BSC. When Bismarck State College asked the foundation to consider construction for student housing, we at the foundation, analyzed this very closely. We wanted to assist the college, but at the same time, we didn't want to lose our mission of making sure that we provide scholarships to the students at Bismarck State College. After determining the project's feasibility, we formed a limited liability corporation. The LLC then worked with the City of Center to issue a tax-exempt bonds for the financing of the project for the residence halls. Once the financing and agreements with BSC were in place, the LLC then contracted with PSI, and construction began a little less than a year ago. The Lloyd Ritchie residence, which I hope you all have a chance to visit if you haven't already, opened for students this fall, so the construction went very smoothly and very rapidly. I want to recognize the LLC board who really steered the project through the whole financing and construction and completion. And that group of individuals is John Hunke, Dr. Aaron Johnson, Richard Keller, John Sacrison, and Jason Vollmer. And very much thank you to that group. They spent many, many hours in the development and building and construction of the residence hall. I would also like to thank the City of Center for their cooperation. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in financing costs were saved because we were able to issue tax-exempt bonds. And these savings are being passed along now to the students of BSC, to really make it a more affordable housing. I'd also like to recognize the staff at the foundation. The housing project added a lot of extra work for the group and the small staff we have, so thank you to Gordy, and thank you to Amy Brown and Melinda Winiger. They've done a lot of extra work over the last few months to put this housing project into fruition. The BSC Foundation was the recipient of a grant from the Otto Bremer Foundation to help the construction of the library portion of the Communication and Creative Arts Center. And I want to thank Janet Dixon, who prepared the grant application and is really managing the ongoing reporting process. Going on, there's more people I want to thank. A couple more. I have Rita Nodland. She's the alumni coordinator for the BSC Alumni Association. And she's worked very closely with BSC to ensure that the Alumni Association has a presence in the newly remodeled student union. And we know we have many students who choose BSC thanks to the availability of over 500 scholarships. And Christina Burns is the program coordinator, and she has been sending congratulation letters to all the scholarship recipients, which makes up about 25% of the full-time BSC students. So that's a high percentage of the students that get scholarships. And the one thing you can look at is those scholarship recipients are going to help ensure that these new residence halls will remain full. So the BSC Foundation is very proud of its contribution that it's assisted BSC today and for many years into the future. Thank you.
As Paul mentioned, the Otto Bremer Foundation has been very supportive of Bismarck State College. They've funded 5 grants over the past years, totaling over $500,000, including this one to help construct this Communication and Creative Arts Center. I'd like to introduce Diane Benjamin, Senior Program Officer for the Otto Bremer Foundation, and we do appreciate their support.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Otto Bremer Foundation trustees, I want to congratulate you on the completion of this wonderful set of projects, really, and especially the beautiful building behind you. The Otto Bremer Foundation has a mission to build healthy, vibrant communities, communities where basic needs are met, mutual regard is prized, and opportunities for economic, civic, and social participation are within everyone's reach. In 2014, we made over $42 million in grants throughout North Dakota, Minnesota, and western Wisconsin. We also are wrapping up a 3-year project focused on rural libraries and literacy leadership, because we've come to understand that libraries aren't merely a collection of books, but they really are a gateway to opportunity. So it was really a wonderful opportunity for us to support the new Information Commons. It fits perfectly with our mission. And often on these projects, I'm involved on the front end, coming out, doing the site visit, reviewing the proposal, going back and working with our trustees. And it's rare that I have the opportunity then to come back to an event celebrating the opening. Sometimes I get to, watch it from the car as I go to another site visit, I drive by, but it's really a pleasure today to see something go from a good idea to a finished project. So I want to congratulate you very much on this achievement, and I hope you really enjoy this building in the years to come.
Thanks, Diane. John Betker, BSC Student Government Association President. He's not only the president of the Student Government Association, but he is the recipient of the first full-ride scholarship offered by the BSC Foundation. John Betker.
Thank you, Gordy. The first law of thermodynamics states that the total energy of an isolated system is constant. The second law of thermodynamics says that the state of entropy of an isolated system will always increase over time. A perpetual motion machine is a hypothetical machine that can do work indefinitely without an energy source. This machine is impossible, as it would violate the first and second laws. So why I'm here talking about physics? Well, like any machine, this institution wouldn't be able to run without an energy source. It is people like Dr. Scogan, Gordy Bennick, the BSC Foundation, alumni, and friends like the Lloyd Ritchie family, Gate City Bank, that help supply and support the energy needed to make this campus grow and progress, thus fueling students like myself and many others in providing support for the new and progressive educational, social, and housing opportunities. We are proud for the additions to our campus and look forward to the future. And as Sir Isaac Newton said, if I have seen farther, it is because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. Thank you.
Thank you, John. As John indicated, one of the newest apartment buildings is named Lloyd Ritchie Residence Hall. It's in recognition of Lloyd Ritchie, BSC alum and a longtime supporter of the BSC Foundation. Jim Christensen and his family were very close to Lloyd Ritchie. I will also tell you that Jim was one of the trustees who was a strong advocate of having the apartment buildings match the appearance of Lidstrom Hall. Jim Christensen, BSC alumnus and member of the Foundation Board of Trustees.
Thank you very much, Gordy. Unlike the other folks up here, I've kind of got it easy. I'm just going to go off the cuff and talk a little bit about a man named Lloyd Ritchie, who's no longer with us. I kind of grew up with him. If you looked up common man or average man in the dictionary, you'd find Lloyd Ritchie's picture there probably. His dad was the janitor at the Capitol building in the 30s and 40s when Lloyd was a young man. And his parents divorced when he was really early age, and that was very uncommon back in those days. And my folks kind of took him in. And my folks, Mark and Betty Christensen, had a small animal farm just kind of over the hill from the student dorm over here. Some would say it was a bit of a zoo, in fact. That's an inside joke. It became the Dakota Zoo. And Lloyd literally grew up, he was kind of one of my older brothers. And throughout his life, he went in the insurance business. He was just a very common, average man. He wasn't a super rich guy or anything like that. But he never lost sight of the education that he got here in Bismarck and at Bismarck Junior College at the time. And Gordy deserves a lot of credit as well, because Gordy spent a lot of time with Lloyd, helping Lloyd set up major gifts to the foundation. And throughout his life, he literally donated hundreds of thousands of dollars of appreciated stock that's been used to fund scholarships for many, many, many years. And then when he passed away unexpectedly a couple of years ago, lo and behold, he had provided for the foundation in his will as well. He has a couple children who live in Virginia that weren't able to be here today, but on behalf of the Lloyd Ritchie family and the Christensen family, we would like to recognize Lloyd and thank him for all that he's done for the campus, and thank everybody else. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. That was a good description of Lloyd. The other apartment building under construction will be named Gate City Bank Residence Hall. It's a tribute to the support that Gate City Bank has provided for this and other projects on the BSC campus. Welcome Norm Clark, Southwest Regional Leader from Gate City Bank.
Thank you, Gordy. I am personally honored to be on the Board of Trustees for the Bismarck State College Foundation for almost 9 years now, and have been a part of some very exciting initiatives and growth here at Bismarck State College. I also serve as the regional leader for the Bismarck Mandan area for Gate City Bank, And I also have some other attendees representing Gate City Bank: Lance Wolf, Director of Retail Banking; Rick Keller, Business Lending Development Officer, also very involved with this project; Amy Durbin, our Marketing Manager; and Greg Elwine, our Bismarck Country West and Gateway Office Manager. Gate City Bank has been serving customers and investing in a better way of life in our community for over 90 years. We believe that providing housing for the students here is extremely important and has a huge impact on our community. Gate City Bank has been a longtime partner with Bismarck State College, and we are thrilled to have partnered with BSC on the construction of these 2 new resident halls. We are privileged and proud to partner with Bismarck State College, and we are thankful for this opportunity to build a better way of life for the students within our community. Congratulations on a job well done with these initiatives. Thank you.
From all the employees and the students of Bismarck State, I thank the BSC Foundation and all of those that support them financially so that we can do all these wonderful projects. You know, it's got to be a historic day when you have 4 ribbon cuttings at one time at one institution, which we get to do today. And that wouldn't happen without the financial resources that have been secured through the BSC Foundation to help us do this. So thank you to you and to all your supporters. And of course, it takes financial resources. It also takes leadership. I don't know if the governor remembers, but he actually let me come into his office and pitch this project to him at the time. That's been a session or so ago, I think, and that was, I really appreciated his leadership there to make sure that we could go on with this project. And of course, as the governor indicated, we have a new leader in the Chancellor's office, Chancellor Mark Hagerup, who is up here if you haven't recognized him. I've been telling folks there's nobody in the state of North Dakota happier to see Chancellor Hagerup than me. As well, there are many, many other folks that need to be thanked. We can't go around and get everybody individually, but I do have a list I want to run through here and acknowledge folks. You know, none of this would happen without the support of the North Dakota legislature and our local legislators. And I know some of them are here and some of them were here and left already. But, you know, when it comes down to a state project like this, to get that appropriations, to get that bond authority, to get the construction authority, and of course the wonderful Challenge Fund grant now that has helped us with this project as well. So we certainly we thank all of our legislators for their support. Relative to building these, JLG Architects were involved in the Communications and Creative Arts Center, and I think some of those folks are around here today. Ubel Design Group did the Student Union and the Resident Halls Architect. Capital City Construction did the Student Union, was the Student Union contractor. J.E. Dunn Construction, Communications and Creative Arts Center contractor. Professional Contractors Incorporated did the Residence Halls contractor. A Action Movers did the library move and the Communications and Creative Communications and Creative Arts Center. And all of the BSC employees that have been involved on many, many committees and were involved in all this project planning. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge these beautiful grounds that we have here, the buildings and grounds folks under the leadership of Don Raethler and Gene Berger that made sure we had all these beautiful flowers here. I'll tell you, those folks worked so hard to keep our campus looking so beautiful, and we certainly want to acknowledge them. Gary and Bunny Huber, and I'm told they're here today. Gary and Bunny Huber. Okay, thank you. The signs are in the way. An area within the Communications and Creative Arts Center is dedicated to their generosity and their commitment to future BSC students. The late Virginia George made a commitment 10 years ago to help fund a new library, and we appreciate that. Of course, the Otto Bremer Foundation, we've already heard from, provided funding to help construct the library. And then Knife River was the contractor for the parking lot for the residence halls, and many, many more folks. And so I want to thank all of you that have been involved in this project, whether it's the building or the funding, the financing, all of it, the leadership at the state level, all across the board. So we're very, very appreciative. Okay, now that's enough speechifying for one night. What we're going to do now is we're going to do one mass ribbon cutting. And so what we have is we have 4 ribbons. And so Marnie, and Marnie can raise her hand, Marnie's actually been organizing much of this. She told me that when I got to this point, I was supposed to put on my military hat and take charge. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 4 groups here. On one end, we're going to have a group that's made up of the resident hall students, resident life staff, foundation trustees, including Jim Christensen and Norm Clark from Gate City Bank. If Marnie will indicate where all of those folks are going to go. That will be for the resident hall. That'll be the resident hall ribbon cutting there. Then for the student union, I think that'll be the next group, and that will be students and employees from the student union. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to, and by the way, as you're holding the ribbons and you're getting scissors and you're doing all that sort of stuff, before we cut, notice that there is a photographer on the top of the building, and we're going to get one good shot of this very large ribbon cutting. Okay, are we ready for the next group? Okay, so then up here in front, we're going to have for the overall ribbon cutting, the governor and the chancellor, members of the BSC Executive Council, Paul Bockham representing the foundation, and any legislators that are here, I think there's some here, any legislators that are here, please come join us, and we're going to do another ribbon right out here in front. So we're going to have a group up here. Aaron's coming this way. Are you going to join us, Larry? And I'll join you guys. Thanks for joining us, Aaron. You may be the only legislator left standing here, so. Okay, and then the last group for the Communications and Creative Arts Center, the faculty and staff from English Art, the library, and Diane Benjamin from Otto Bremer Foundation will be with that group. And finally, I should point out, we've got the chamber ambassadors here. They've got the red ribbon, and they're up here in line too. And we timed this perfectly. We've got bells ringing at the same time. So now the first thing we need is we need everybody that's going to cut the ribbon to get your scissor in position and take a look up at the photographer.